Hey everyone, today I'm going to explain the concept of terrorism. And you know that terrorism is a topic which is very widely used in the exams called UPSC, UGC-NET, and different other competitive exams. So, what we understand by the word terrorism? Okay, what we understand by terror? Terror means when one particular individual or a group tries to basically um, force a government in order to meet a particular goal. Okay, they want to pressurize the government, but they target the normal civilians. Okay, so when they target the normal civilians, what happens? The civilians get panicked and they create a force on the government so that the basic demands are fulfilled. So this is the traditional definition of terrorism. But today, the concept of terrorism has been modified, okay, due to various factors. Now, what we are going to do, we are look into the various factors. Let's check it right now. So, first of all, we are here replacing the word neo-terrorism with terrorism in 21st century. Okay, so in terrorism in 21st century, what we have seen how political identity has taken a new shape post disintegration of the Soviet Union in 1991. You know how the states are, like a particular community, they used to be there and they used to seek powers, but when they were not given much more attention by the government, they used to join the rebel groups and they used to take out military activities. Okay, and these militancy activities culminate into the versions of terrorism. But here, the most important thing which we are going to focus is the 9/11 incident. Okay, many students ask the question that what is 9/11? 9 means September, okay, and it is 11 is the date. Okay, so a planned attack was being carried out by whom? By the Al Qaeda, backed by Osama bin Laden. Okay, they have planned to hijack four of the aircraft. Okay, and they were two of the aircrafts were lifted and they dashed the aircraft into the World Trade Center. World Trade Center is where? It is in New York. Okay, for your kind information. So after knowing that the terrorists have attacked this means the important building which caused a casualty of moreover 3,000 peoples. Okay, it was also treated to be as a mainland attack on America. And this was the severe kind of human rights violations where peoples were killed at a very extraordinary number. Okay, so in order to make this kind of, like in order to end this kind of rage of terrorisms where we can see hijacking, where we can see like suicide bombings, where we can see that this kind of blast and everything else. So what the US government has done, it was George Bush Jr. who has called all the nations of the world to come together and do what? And to create a forum whereby they can launch a war on terror. War on terror is what? War on terror is a plan by the United States in order to make a complete end of the terrorism. Okay, so this is very important point which you have to add in your notes in UPSC. Okay, so after this war on terror, what has happened? The since we know that the terrorists, Al Qaeda peoples who have come and who have basically hijacked the planes and dashed them into the twin towers. Then one was basically off to the Pentagon field. So what has happened? Like American government, they have decided to go on war. Okay, against whom? Against Afghanistan. And when they have moved their all, like miss aircraft, all missile, miss whatever, miss armies and all, the entire thing they have basically launched the war, and USA has taken control over the Afghanistan, and the army rested till 2021. So what is the next dimension? Next dimension was to execute Osama bin Laden. We know what was Osama bin Laden. It is clear, means from our previous explanation. Like Osama bin Laden was the most influential leader of the terrorist Al Qaeda, regime, who has planned or who have basically designed the blueprint for the 9/11. So the entire plan was to execute Osama bin Laden was done by the Department of Defense in United States along with the support of Barack Obama, then president, in 2000. And when it was done in the year 2010. So mark the date. And so what was the name of the operation? The name of the operation was Operation Black Moon. Why it was Operation Black Moon? Because the operation was is basically declared, or basically means blueprinted, the time when the entire place would be at, means, when the entire place will be covered with the darkness. Okay, they have baffled the radars. The US choppers have baffled the radars, and they have silently, steadily, they have entered into the place that is in Abbottabad, and then they have basically killed Osama bin Laden. Then they have taken him for the ocean burial, okay, sea burial. So, what is the next thing that we are going to observe? The next and most striking, which is, like the growth of Islamic states. Okay, it was earlier in Iraq and Levant, but later on in 2014, the Islamic states went from uh, Iraq and Levant to Iraq and Syria. Okay, so basically, Middle East was prone to the problem of this ISIS, and this ISIS peoples were just like we have seen how the Al Qaeda used to function. They used to do the same thing, kidnapping of foreign nationals. They used to put suicide bombs, and then we have seen that how these peoples have threatened. Like the group has threatened international peace, and many countries were impacted by the menace of this Islamic states in Iraq and Syria. So in order to curb this problem, USA has, not only US, all the countries have also voted against fighting terrorism. But this was not an easy task, as we know that the next context, that is religious fundamentalism in jihad, was all a kind of brainwashing thing which has happened from the very past to the very present. Okay, so we are not now going to do what? We are now going to watch the other, means forms of terrorism. And like we have conceptualized the dimensions, like what we have seen the terrorism has flourished. Okay, now we will see in our next slides the forms of terrorism. But this is the newer forms of terrorism, which include cyber terrorism. Now if you ask me the question, what is cyber terrorism? Cyber terrorism means a kind of terrorism when the basically the the terrorist groups who are attacking the cyberspaces. Like suppose a defense, like a defense website is there, like to break any firewall, or to like attack any particular security, stealing some security informations, leaking military data and all. These are the kinds of cyber terrorism is influenced with. Okay, they have their own servers, their own way of linking each other, and thus the cyber terrorism works. Okay, now most interestingly, there is also questions for various public service examinations. It's about what, about the nature of state sponsored terrorism. Okay, what do you understand by sponsored terrorism? Whenever we utter the term state sponsored, the sponsored means how how a state funds terrorist group with the help of capital, with the help of arms, armistice, and other kind of supports. Okay, so state sponsored terrorism is done against whom? The state sponsored terrorism is done basically against an enemy states, because the state is not capable of fighting a war with the enemy state, because the enemy state might be very powerful. So in order to evade from the conception of a direct rivalry, it is very easy to send a particular group in the name of nationalism, and then this group will basically means carry out a planned attack, and then there will be casualties, losses, damages of government properties, and various other means chaotic situations will be created. So this is the main thing by which we can define the contours of state sponsored terrorisms. Like even the terrorist groups, the people, the personals of the terrorist organizations, if they are caught also, the state will deny that this is the member of our community, or this is the member of our particular state. So there is no existence of any kind of responsibility which has to be taken into consideration. Okay, so what is most important in the third place, that is terrorism linked with the weapons of mass destructions. Now it's very easy, Now you people are knowing that weapons of mass destruction means what? Means basically weapons of mass destruction means this nuclear weapons, the chemical weapons, or the weapons related to the biological weapons. Okay, means basically which can kill various peoples, and and it will not basically spare anyone. Okay, we know that what is the power of nuclear weapon. We have seen in Hiroshima and Nagasaki how the cities have been bombed. Okay, and there was no individual who were left aside. So if the terrorists acquire this kind of weapons of mass destruction, what is going to happen? If the terrorists are going to acquire the weapons of mass destruction, it will create a kind, it will end the entire regime, and basically it will wipe out humanity. Okay, basically, basically it will bring a total end to a particular country. So it is necessary for all the government to work in a cooperative venture so that these weapons are never be able to reach to the terrorists and the groups. Okay, terrorism and religious fundamentalism, as we are very aware of the fact, like today means every community is very much into the theme of knowing that some kind of like attachment is there with the religion, or religion is acting as an instrument where people are brainwashed. Okay, people are brainwashed to do certain things which the religious fanatics or the leaders direct them to do. So in this way we can see that terrorism and religious fundamentalism has been working hand in hand in order to promote terrorism. So from this it is clear that what is the concept of terrorism, what are the various forms of terrorism, how various activities of terrorism and which we have seen in the 21st century. I think this is a clear cut explanation. If you need more videos on such things, like, subscribe to my channel. Thank you.